Hi guys, welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be looking for mushrooms, fungus, mould, any other small things that are in the woods. The past few weeks have been really rainy and windy, but today it's quite calm. It's not much wind, it's quite sunny. It's not that cold really. It's quite a nice day, so I think it's a good day to do some macro of some mushrooms because, as you know, if it's windy, it's going to be quite a bit of a problem to do macro. So let's get into it. So our first subject, we've got some white eggs, I think, or maybe there's some slime mould, I'm not too sure. But yeah, I'm going to get a photo of them, and if anyone is certain what they are, leave a comment because I'm not too sure. All right, I've got my composition sorted. I'm shooting all the way at 2x magnification using f5.6 and ISO 200, and my shutter speed comes out to 1/2.5 seconds. All right, let's start the bracket. All right, I think the bracket is done, so I'm going to hit the shutter again to end the bracketing sequence. And there we are. So my next subject is this tiny little mushroom here, and I've removed some of the moss around it so it's a bit more, so it stands out a bit more. But yeah, once I frame up the shot, I'll see if it looks good. If not, I might have to move some more moss around and then see what I can do. But let's get into it. So as you can see, the setup for this shot is not very ideal. I was trying to use the tripod initially, but it was too high. I ended up using the tripod in the end, but not for its intended purpose. I'm resting the front of the camera on the tripod so it's level and I can get the little mushroom thing in shot. Settings wise for this shot, I'm going to be shooting at f4, ISO 200, and then 1/10 shutter speed exposes that. And the reason I'm using f4 is because I just want a blurrier background for this shot. So let's hit the shutter button to start the bracketing sequence. And then all we've got to do is press the shutter again once we've got enough shots to end the bracketing sequence. So it's looking like we've got enough shots there, so I'm going to hit the shutter again. And there we are. If you're wondering what focus differential I'm using with bracketing here, I'm using 2. Because I'm not very magnified for a lot of these shots, so 2 seems to work very well. Don't know if you could see in the last shot, but in the background you might have been able to see these massive mushrooms. And I wasn't going to photograph these because they're so big, it's not really macro, but I thought I'd just get a photo anyway because I'm right by them. What I've done here is tidied up this area because there's loads of leaves and stuff and it was just a really messy shot. And then I'm resting my camera on some twigs to get my composition how I want it. I can't really use the tripod because it's too high, so let's get the shot. Right, so I'm shooting this one portrait and my goal is to get these 3 mushrooms in a row. And that'd be quite a nice shot. I'm going to shoot this one at, I think I'll do f4 again and adjust my shutter speed to expose it. So that's coming out at 1/15. So there we are. We're focusing just before the first mushroom and then we'll hit the shutter and start the bracketing sequence. And the reason I focus just before the first mushroom is because when I start the bracketing sequence, it just means I've definitely got that first bit of the mushroom in focus. And that is done, so I'm going to hit the shutter again to end it. And there we are. It's nice to get a shot that I wouldn't usually get. Quite happy with that. I've been wanting to find a small bunch of mushrooms for a while, and here we are. We've got quite a nice small bunch of mushrooms. And I'm going to get a slightly less magnified shot to show off the whole group of mushrooms rather than just getting one. So let's get the shot. I've managed to actually make use of the tripod and use it how it's supposed to be used. I was trying to get the white balance all good and I couldn't seem to get it how I wanted. And then I realized you can do the little color shifter thing where it's like a square with a grid. And I just moved it down to more purple because it looked very green. So now the white balance is looking good. And settings wise, I'm going to be using f5, ISO 200, and my shutter speed comes out at 1/8. So we're going to press the shutter to start the bracketing sequence. And I'll press it again once I feel like I've got enough images. All right, I think that's enough. Let's press the shutter again. There we are. There's a mushroom on just the outside of the frame, which is a bit distracting, so I might remove that in Photoshop. But the rest of the mushrooms seem to bunch together quite nicely and make a nice composition. I flipped over this little log here, and as you can see there's this little white mushroom and it's kind of broken and not the best looking, but I thought I'd photograph it anyway because, you know, it's a bit of a story how it's all broken. It's a bit interesting to look at, whereas usually I'll just walk past it and find a nicer looking mushroom. And it'd be a nice detail shot with the gills as well. So let's get this shot. Settings for this shot, I'm going to be using f5 And if you're wondering why I just use the same aperture most of the time, it's because I'm shooting at the same sort of magnification, and that aperture just works best, really. So if it works good, I just don't really need to change it. I mean, I could change it if I wanted to, but I quite like the effect it has. I'm focus bracketing anyway, so I'm going to be shooting a load of shots and then stacking them later. So it's going to have the same sort of result either way. However, I wouldn't want to use an aperture like f/16 because then I'll get diffraction, or f3.5, which is the lowest aperture on this lens, because that's quite a soft aperture. f5 is quite a nice aperture because it's quite optimal on this lens, and f5.6. But anyway, let's press the shutter and begin the bracketing sequence. There's a little bit of sunlight on the mushroom, which is quite nice. Hopefully the sun stays out while it's doing the bracket. I think that's enough shots. Press the shutter again to end it. There we are. Seems like the sun's just gone behind a cloud as I've finished the photo. So right here, I found a little white mushroom on a stick. And when I first saw it, I thought it was actually growing out of the bottom of this tree. And then I realized it was on a little stick. And I thought I'd take it over to a nicer spot where I've got the light in the background, so it makes a nice image. So let's see what this looks like. I was originally going to shoot this landscape because it's on a stick and I wanted the mushroom leaning in, but the negative space on the right just looked weird. So I have switched to portrait, and I think it works a lot better. And it shows off the depth as well. So you got like this log that I put it on. You can see the moss in the foreground. Then you can see the stick with a little bit of moss on, and then you've got the mushroom. And because the background's really far away, you get a really blurry background. So settings wise, I'm going to be using f4 because I want that really blurry background. And I'm going to be using ISO 200 since that is the base ISO, and I'll get the cleanest image. And then shutter speed comes out at 1/50. So let's press the shutter and get this bracket. As you can see, the sun isn't actually on my subject right now. And I actually took an image just before I set up this camera because I knew that the sun would probably go off the subject soon. So I'll put that one up on screen now. For this next shot, I'm going to be shooting probably the smallest mushroom I've ever seen. Don't know if you can see it on camera, but it's right there, that little white dot. And I'm going to be shooting this all the way at 2x magnification. And I've had to rest my camera on the ground because the tripod can't get low enough. But yeah, let's see what the shot looks like. Right, so settings for this shot, I'm going to be using f5. And the reason for that is because when you go to 2x magnification on this lens, the minimum aperture you can use is f5 as opposed to f3.5. And then I'm going to be using ISO 200, of course, base ISO. And my shutter speed comes out to 1/2. And I've got to be careful not to touch my camera or make it move at all while I'm doing the bracket, because 1/2 is a very slow shutter speed. And if my images aren't consistent throughout the bracket, then it will be a messy stack when it comes to stacking later on. But anyway, let's press the shutter and get this bracket. This one might be a bit longer than the other brackets because I'm at 2x magnification, which means I'll have to shoot a few more images to focus from the front of my subject all the way to the back. Right, I think that is the last image we need. So we're going to press the shutter again to end the brackets in the sequence. There we are. If you're wondering how I focus stack, I do this on the computer layer using Zarine Stacker. And I've got a whole video on my process using Zarine Stacker on my channel, so go check that out if you're interested. I really like shots like this, where you've got a mushroom coming out the side of a log, because you can create a lot of depth. So what I'm going to do here is shoot portrait and have it so I can see the stem coming out of the log, rather than getting a more magnified shot and just getting the top of the mushroom. I just like the depth of these shots, and yeah, let's see what the shot looks like. I need to remember to sit down because every shot I get, I keep kneeling and my knee is now killing me. So I need to remind myself to actually just sit down and give my knees a break. Otherwise, I'm gonna have no knees when I'm like 40. A minute ago, the sun was shining on the tip of the mushroom. Right now, it's not. So I'm gonna get a shot anyway on camera. But if I prefer the one with the sun, I'll put that up on screen. This shot I'm gonna be shooting at f4 and ISO 200. And then my shutter speed comes out at 1/5. And I'm shooting at f4 because there's a lot of moss and it's quite distracting, so I want to blur out the background as much as possible. Well, the sun is sort of shining on the tip of the mushroom now, so I'm going to press the shutter and start the bracket. And then I'm going to press the shutter again to end the bracket. And there we are. So my next subject, I'm not too sure what it is. I've seen this a couple times when doing macro. It's some sort of egg, or I don't know. I've never really Googled it or researched it. But yeah, I've seen this on some leaves before. Sun's shining on it nicely now, so I'm going to start the bracket and then I'll end it once I've got all the images. Just get another one quickly because the sun's gone a bit more intense and I need to change the exposure a little bit as well. There we go, let's start it. Might be a bit too much sun, to be honest, I don't know. I need to sit down, forgetting my knees. My knees are broken. Because the sun's changing a lot, I keep having to change my exposure, so I'm just going to do one more. I don't know if I like it with the sun on it, to be honest. It looked a bit better when it was just hitting the edge of the subject rather than illuminating the whole subject. I'm going to end today's video here. If you're wondering what gear I use, all that will be linked in the description, and those will be affiliate links, so I'll get a little bit of money and no extra cost for you if you buy through those links. Got quite a few good images today. I tried to get some unique shots that I wouldn't usually go for as well. Let me know what's your favourite image down in the comments. And yeah, with all that said and done, I'm going to end today's video here. So if you've enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, share, comment, all that good stuff. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.